I'm just awaiting for some more of you to come on, and then I will. My intention is not for us to be long this afternoon. I know that many of you are quite busy doing your respective work, but I just felt that I needed to have just a few minutes of conversation, particularly geared to the joint service ranks. I understand how significant tomorrow will be for them. It is a decision, I believe, that many of the ranks, whether you are in the Guyana Police Force, the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Prison Service, or the Guyana Fire Service, there are going to be some very important conversation that I wish that we have this afternoon, just for a few minutes. It's not going to be long. But every so often, I like to come and have us really dive a little deeper and put a lot of things into perspective, because I believe it's important that we understand facts. I'm a person who believes that once you have the facts, and you have all the facts, then you are able to make very informed decisions. But the minute you are prevented from having the facts on you, then sometimes the decisions that you make are not necessarily the ones that you are proud of the following day or days and months after. All right. So let us officially start. Good afternoon to you, to all members of the joint services. Good afternoon to you, wherever in Guyana you are joining from. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. Now, there is a fundamental difference that I want to highlight today. Tomorrow's voting for the joint services, it's not only an opportunity to exercise your constitutional and democratic right of selecting a government that truly reflects your values. One time, when I looked at, and this goes right back to as a serving member of the Guyana Police Force. And for the years that I spent in the Guyana Police Force, you're talking with with someone who can relate to you. I understand some of the struggles. I understand the insecurities that exist in as a joint service member. I understand the frustration that you many times face. Those frustrations cannot and will never be remedied by a so-called mass promotion. Being promoted, it's only one part of the achievement, I believe, in the force. But I want to take you back to what we all knew at the beginning of our initial training in the Guyana Police Force. Often we heard, once a man, or once a policeman, twice a civilian. And that, to my mind, is a fundamental consideration that you ought to take on board. That when you vote tomorrow, you are not only voting in the capacity as a member of the joint service, or the member of the joint services, you are voting as a citizen of this country. And as a citizen of this country, there are a number of things which you must consider. You must consider your families, the household in which you came out of. You must consider your communities. You must consider the society as a whole. You must consider, to a large extent, your neighbors. So voting does not only have to do with you, the individual, and you are voting for what you believe is correct. When you vote, it is a demonstration that you have considered all the above, your neighbors, your families, your community, the society as a whole, and your country. You must have in your mind, how do I want to see my country? And you have to ask yourself the very, very important question. Am I proud of being a member of the joint services? Am I proud of wearing that uniform? Am I proud of what the force has become? Am I proud of when I am out there giving service? Am I proud of how my family is taken care of? Am I proud of what's happening in my community? Because sometimes there are injustices even in your own community, and you have to go back, right back to the community. And sometimes many of you have faced situations where you have said, I understand what happened, but I don't support the police's conduct in certain areas. So it tells me that there are a significant portion of members, particularly right now, of the Guyana Police Force, who are very good. They love what they do. They love not only the service that they give to the country and the citizenry of this, but also they love the fact that putting on the uniform makes them feel some form of achievement, in that I am doing something to contribute to the development of my country. And in this regard, I am proud of the fact that I am a part of the security forces or the security organizations which offer great security to our country. I remember when I just joined the police force, the level of insecurities and fears that I have had, wanting to be sure that I really make the right decision in joining the organization. And after my first few months in the police force, when I saw how impactful my contributions were in terms of helping persons, in terms of being able to maintain law and order, I felt a sense of achievement. I felt a sense of worth, that I was actually doing something in my country to contribute to its development. You have to weigh that to the state the force is in right now. Not only the Guyana Police Force, but you have to weigh that against what's happening in the Guyana Defense Force, the prison service, in the fire service. And you have to ask yourselves, am I really proud of what the force has become? Those answers in respective of the various services that you will want to take the argument from, those answers cannot be a remedy only by the fact that you are dissatisfied only with the fact that you were not promoted. Because in the PPP's mind, they believe that this entire promotion stunt is what is needed only to make the joint services, the members feel as though government is one with you. Listen, you and I know differently. That is not the case. I believe when you look at the modus operandi of what has been happening in terms of the issue of succession, back then, years ago, you could have worked your way in the force and be sure as you are contributing meaningfully, there were exams being taken, and you were establishing your competence as you go along. And you didn't really have to beg and plead with someone to promote you. Promotion came because it was merited. It is not the case now. Listen, I am not proud of some of the things I hear about what you have to go through in the force. The fact that civilians have more say in the police force than you. And I'm not talking about the Police Service Commission. Neither am I talking about the executive branch here, but I'm talking about businessmen. I'm talking about friends and families and favorites of the PPP. You have to go and them, and they're guaranteeing you a promotion. They're saying, all right, I will talk to them about promoting you. And you have to ask yourself, I know that this is something which only benefits a very small amount of persons. But I want you to ask yourself, is this practice sustainable? And if it's not sustainable, meaning, what if you create a system like that, and what if today, tomorrow, government changes, or your friends are no longer aligned with the powers to be? Do you want to encourage a system where that jeopardizes your upward mobility in an organization? I would say what seems to be more sustainable is to ensure that fairness, equality, persons are promoted based on merit, that they're competent, and that they're able to deliver in the rank in which they have been given. And so once you have the system in place, the system has always been in place. It's just that it has not been working because it has been hijacked. Now you have a commissioner of police who sat through many different promotions, and you have a list of persons. Media has it as 2,000 persons, ranks, who were not promoted for many years. Some of you 18, 19, 20. Some of you, I'm reading 30 years, etc. You have to ask yourself, what really was happening all those years? What really was happening? And is it is it a situation where this is the only problem we have been faced with in the Guyana police force? Or is it one that requires a more approach to service and to performance and competence that will allow promotion to be given? And I will say the latter is more important. What you want is an organization that has its respect restored. I remember the days, and even at my initial training, people respected the uniform. People respected the police. Police gave instructions that were lawful, and people obeyed. And where there were times where people did not obey instructions given by the police, then those persons were lawfully detained or arrested. Now, we live in a society, and I must call it out, in which the manner in which law and order, or the laws, are enforced, they're only enforced for a marginal few. In that, a society has been created where some persons believe that they are above the law. And it's not only the politicians which has given them that level of entitlement, but it also within the organization you have been faced with. You are, as a sergeant, you as a constable, you as an inspector, you are doing what the law mandates that you do. But then the senior police, a senior rank, because that senior rank is affiliated with the powers to be, then you are left feeling embarrassed. Because let's just look at what happened just the other day at the station. We all saw that on social media. That's not the only one. I'm sure if you go back to the archives, you would see that there has been a number of things in which civilians have come against police. Police don't really understand how they ought to execute their functions. And there have always been some form of conflict. And that's because directions are somehow not there. And so when you vote for APNU, you are voting for not only respect to be restored to the organization that you are a part of. But I want to tell you what that respect really means. That respect means that you can comfortably perform your functions without fear. And no one wants to work. You know, they say that you work and you're walking on eggshells. And our understanding of that has always been, all right, I know what I have to do lawfully, but I'm unable to do that because there is some form of, there's someone else who is going to undermine the correct thing. And so you always have to be not sure. No one wants to be in an organization where you are not sure what you have to do. All the laws, all the trainings that you have attended, you know how you're to perform your duties, but you can't get to perform your duties the way, because it's clear that someone is going to undermine what you need to do. That's not a police force that you can be proud of. And that is not something promotions can remedy, because clearly you want an organization where there's clear directions, and those clear directions are supported by your standing operation procedures, the laws of this country, because you are an enforcer of the law. So you want to ensure that the laws are being followed. And you want to be able to execute your work in such a professional way. And all of this I'm saying is a benefit for voting for APNU, because you don't have to worry about being victimized. You don't have to worry about being transferred to and being, we say you are reduced in rank because of the fact that you touched the wrong person. And you understand our Guyanese language, meaning you actually tried to do your work, but the laws cannot be enforced for a particular person or persons. You have seen it. Many of you. I have been balanced in my legal practice, in the sense I have represented civilians, many civilians, and I've represented many members of the joint services. Many of you have come to me for family members in which your own colleagues had taken advantage of the situation, and you have expressed your displeasure in many of what was happening. I'm saying APNU is presenting a complete opportunity for there to be a restoration of the dignity of the job that you do. You can be proud under an APNU government. You can be proud of how you were to execute, because it's not going to be rocket science. All that will be required from you is that you do a professional job. There is fairness in what you do. There is clear law which supports what you do, so that the citizens of the country and the people who you police are not going to want to, of course, jeopardize or undermine your performance and your job in any way, because you are supported by the law. That is what you want. Many of you have spoken to me about the fact that you sit in stations and you see your own members of the community, your Black brothers particularly, that they come and they are faced with the full blunt of the law. And then you see persons supported, or they have contacts, as they say. They walk into the station and you can't even take your pen and make a note, because it will not be tolerated. And then you see people walk out. When you see those things happen, it's a disrespect. Many of you are walking, have expressed to me that you walk in the streets having done an arrest that which was lawful. So, and the persons stand in corners with their gangs or with their groupings, and they laugh at you. They laugh at you. They make you a mockery. Those are the real problems that you face as a member of the police force. It's not only an issue of being undermined in terms of your promotion, but you can't even do your own work. And your work, when it's being done, civilians or the persons who are the offenders of the law, they have the upper hand over you. That can make you proud. That gives you a sense of dissatisfaction. And I say to you, and I present to you a very clear path in which this can be restored. As I said, many of you love what you do, but you're not being allowed to execute your work in the manner which it ought to be executed. And so this vote is for you to take into consideration a number of things. I remember the families of a young GDF soldier which came to me and expressed how ill-prepared that GDF officer was in going to the bordering location. And he had expressed that he couldn't even swim. And there was a lot of discomfort in relation to being posted in a particular area. The force did not put in place enough security measures, training, as well as the level of comfort for those ranks. He died. Resulting from his death, dying in the line of performing his duties, many of you in the GDF have expressed displeasure about how you're being treated. And many of you have looked at the concerns. Are people running and joining the Guyana Defense Force like in the past? Do you feel as though your life and your families will be taken care of because of some of the risk that is involved in your work? There are a number of things that you have spoken, some of you in private and some of you in public conversations. I want to say to you, under an APNU government, the fears that you have will be the fears that will be addressed and be remedied front on. There will be no overlooking of those very important concerns that you have. I remember some of the expressions in the Guyana Fire Service, and those expressions in relation to being able to use your training, because there was always, every time there is some form of fire, there is always some form of undermining the protocols, because there were too many interferences which hampered your training. And so it's not only an issue of many of you felt as though you were stifled in the fire service. Many of you felt as though your lives were not being treated with any value, that the environment in which you operated clearly did not present the best practice, as you were not allowed to execute your trainings. I remember those. Sadly, just a few months ago, one of your members died while trying to extinguish a fire. And when you look at it, you find that there are a number of protocols which were breached. And that must mean something to you. That must mean that while you have your training and your professionals, are you really allowed to perform? Are you really allowed to execute your work? Or you must follow the instructions of those who are not trained and who believe that they know better? And that is the level of uncertainty which also undermines your work in the fire service. I present to you that under an new government, that type of interference will not occur. You who are trained from a policy level, you can bet and you can be reassured that the only thing that will be done is that there will be directions from a policy standpoint in relation to the macro performance of the department. But you who are trained, we will expect that you execute your work based on your training, based on your protocol, and that there must be a comfort level where it is felt that there is need for you to improve on that level of training so that you can perform your functions at a higher level. Those will be provided. I recall conversations in relation to the prison service. Many of you have complained about having to work under some conditions which were never safe. You're understaffed. The population of the prison is way above, and this has been happening for years, way above the number of ranks that you have to man those prisons. Many of you feel unsafe. I visit the prison sometimes on occasions, on weekends, and I see the skeleton staff that you work on because you don't ever have the manpower. And it has become a very frustrating job for you. We promise you that all these very important and vital concerns that you have will be addressed under an active government. It will be remedied. And that clearly, we are not only saying together as a joint services that there are going to be a number of benefits from you, but I have highlighted some very important concerns that I believe you must also take into consideration. You must ask yourself, did the People's Progressive Party CIFIC for the 5 years, have they been able to give that level of leadership in the joint services, which makes you feel proud as a member? Don't only look at the leadership of your organization, but take into consideration your squaddies, the people with your rank. How have you been treated? How have you been treated? How have you been able to execute your work? Have you been able to execute your work in the best conditions? No. Look at some of the police stations. Look at some of the barracks and the provisions made for you and the Guyana prison service. No. There has been absolutely no care given for you. None at all. And so you must not be fooled. You must not think that because a government which is saying, I'll give you training, brings me to the point. I have not been given permission to call some of your names, so I wouldn't call some of your names. But I know you, and you know yourself. Your squaddies, they know you too. Many of you who have had trainings, specialized trainings, have not been able to use your specialized trainings. Why? Because you are placed to do other duties because you did not fit the criteria of being close to that office or to having those responsibilities. The criteria I'm talking about is about being a yes man, being able to compromise from a level of the powers to be, as well as compromising from the leadership of some of the organizations which carry out the functions of the powers to be. And so many of you, so training is not the only consideration. you must ask yourself, have you been able to use, are you witnessing your squaddies being able to use the specialized trainings that they've had? The answer is no. Many of you have not been able to do that. And so all of that will change. All of that will change. Training, while training is important for you, you will be able to perform at the competence level of your training. You will be able to perform at the level in which you can give and execute your work in the best and most professional manner. I want to say to you that when you look at what additional benefits you will get in the joint services as you go tomorrow, I want you to think about what APNU will also do to make sure that you are comfortable. I want to begin by talking about the alleviation of poverty. Many of you are living from paycheck to paycheck. And you have said to yourself, if you don't live from paycheck to paycheck, you have to do several other jobs. We offer you a 35% increase across the board for public servants. We offer you an opportunity that even if you are earning less than 400,000 Guyana dollars, you will get a house lot free. That $400,000 and less, you will not pay income tax on it. Just think about it. More money putting into your pockets. Also, I want you to consider that many of you have been given house lots. Some of you don't even know where to find those house lots. And some of you are in no position to build because the finances are not there. And this is why the APNU government tells you we're a government that will care about the people. Because where you don't have the monies to build, we will build for you. We will build your home. And that comes on the scheme of what we call rent to own. Meaning you will rent, you will pay a rent reasonable, and after you would have completed or paid rent up to the cost of the construction of that home, it belongs to you. That is a government that cares. That is a government that doesn't give you a piece of land that you got to go and borrow. Many of you have had to borrow. I know some of you still owe credit unions for having to borrow, and you still have not even see where you're going to start billing from. Some of you have had to think about, how do I go out to ask members of the public to give some form of contribution, And many of you don't feel so proud about it, because you say to yourself that oftentimes it makes you vulnerable. It makes you having to always feel as though you have to be obligated to the people who have assisted you. We're offering you a path out of that. APNU is offering you an opportunity to lift your head again and feel proud of who you are as a member of the police force, as a member of the Guyana Defense Force, as a member of the fire service and the prison service. Be proud. We care about the men and women in uniform. And that is why the vision that, and it's not promises. This is more of of an agreement with you, the people. An agreement with you, the people. So I see sometimes they talk about the oppositionists from the PPP side. They talk about promises no, it's not promises. This is an agreement with you. On the day of our launch of our manifesto, the party signed an agreement with the people. And we said clearly that what we have outlined is an obligation. And many of you, your concerns also goes to extend to your families. Many of you have children, and those children are attending university. Think about how well we will be under an APNU government. They will be supported. They will be supported by having a stipend of $50,000 a month. Just think about how that will help you, that you don't have to go into your pockets to take out monies to send your children to university. Just think about, some of you are so, I think, so professional that you don't even want to be late for work. And you have small children. Think about the government on the APNU, which will ensure that your children receive 2 hot meals in schools. So that lifts the burden off of you from having to be getting up early in the morning, preparing for your children. Because a government is demonstrating to you, under an APNU government, it's demonstrating to you that you are not going to raise the children only. Government is going to raise the children with you, because we are going to provide that safe environment so that when you are performing your duties and you are away from the home, you don't have to think about how is my child doing, because they will be safe. And that is what, when you vote, those are the massive considerations that you ought to be making, not the small one of a single point promotion. I know many people came out to say, I thank the president, I thank the president. That is what I call minuscule. It is small comparing to the considerations that you ought to be considering when it comes to your vote. You ought to be thinking about, how do I want to be treated after I leave the service? This is what you need to think about too. Old age pension goes up by $100,000, and I can tell you that's not a figure that will stop. That's a figure that will climb. Think about all the successes that we have had together under the APNU, under the PNC, flowing from the PNC, and then under the APNU, the amount of schemes, policing or joint services schemes that were also established. Think about that. And I remember, you see, I have a lot of people that I interact with, and sometimes I have to say these things because they don't want us to know these things. The police force, for example, the association, the ex-members association, look how they have been treated. Look how they are being treated right now. Look how they're being treated. No support, no financial support. It's like, it is as though you have given years of service to an organization, but when it's done, that's the end of it. Flowing from the PNC straight up to APNU, ex-members or retired members have never been treated with disdain. The PPPC has a reputation of not treating and honoring the contributions made. And so when you vote, you also are voting and considering this, that you would want to have an effective ex-members or retired members association in which they're treated with great dignity, in which they can look back and you look back at the force in which you have served and you say, yes, it was worth it. Serving this country, this beautiful country of ours, is not only a blessing, but it must be an honor. It must be an honor. And that is what, on the ACNU, we present to you. We present to you, men and women in uniform, a restoration of honor. You will be led and have a president, as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, in the name of Aubrey Compton Norton, that really cares about you. Really sincerely cares. Don't bother with that facade from here, Pranali. That's a facade. That's a facade. That man doesn't care about anybody but himself, his friends, his family, and his favorite. But they know how to play politics with your mind. They little crumbs, little drinkles, and then they take up, play with your mind. I am the person. Because why? It's all about how do I get them to worship me? You don't have to worship Aubrey Compton Norton, because I can tell you, he's a man that believes that men and women, the men and women in uniform, must not only be respected, but they must be honored. And that he believes that caring for them in a holistic way, in terms of the needs, their particular needs, their families, their communities, those are important for them to be comfortable. And he honors the fact that you will be able to do your work in the most professional way. You don't have to worship him. You don't have to try to know somebody in government to be given a promotion. No, because it will be based on merit. It will be based on a system that is not going to be compromising when it comes to that at all. You don't have to have a favorite. You don't have to try to align yourself with a particular group and persons. No, that we have seen. We have been at the sidelines, and we have seen how that has crippled the fabric of a most worthy and a noble organization. And we say that is not something that we want to continue, and we will ever continue at all. So I ask you, in giving your vote tomorrow, think about all these things I've said. Not only you, your vote is not only for you, but your vote is for your families. Your vote is for your community. And my God, your vote is for your country. Because no matter how much you have, if we continue to see this country the way it's going, and we allow it to go the way it's going, in terms of the massive corruption and the level of nepotism that we're seeing left, right, and center, it's going to collapse. You have a role to play tomorrow in restoring some form of national pride to this country. Guyana must be a place where, when it comes out of the lips of people internationally, they must say that's a beautiful place, because there's so much order, there's so much respect for one another and for organizations, for the citizens for the organization. There is a reduction of crime. Men and women, young boys, girls, they have opportunities, and they're able to thrive. They're able to live, not survive. That's what the PPP wants you to do, to survive. It means that though they give you little, and every time you want more, you got to go to them, because it's like they're drawing you in like a, like a loppy dog. No, no. Under an new government, we want to empower you and say, go out there and thrive. Go out there and excel. Go out there and expand. Go out there and explode. Be the best. Use your creativity. Use your training that has been given to you, and go out there and and give the best service to the country, because it's about legacy as well. You have to think, what are we really passing to this next generation? Are we passing to the next generation and the generations to come a country that has not put a grip on all these problems that we've been having? Corruption, left, right, and center, substandard work, the issue of you not being able to enforce extrajudicial killings. People can't be able to express as soon as you talk. There's some charge against you. People have become so lawless in the society. All right, there's no proper laws which governs what people come on the social media and say. People use all sorts of aligning and malign and defame people without any proper cause. All these things, it's just like it has become like a nasty society where it's just chaos, where the only people seem to be surviving and enjoying it are the elites of the PPP. No, that's not the Guyana that you want. Because if you vote selfishly and you only consider the fact that you were promised some form of promotion from the PPP, that's a selfish vote. Because what will happen to your children? They're walking on the streets. What will happen to your family members? They have to live. So they depend on you as well. Those small children who cannot vote, they depend on you as well to make the right decision so that they can be safe. Many of you spoken to me. I saw many of you cried when Adriana Young, in this entire fiasco. Many of you cried because you strip yourself of being in uniform, and the only thing that you could have been thinking about is that you're a mother and you're a father, you're a brother, you're a sister, and that's one of our child. That's one of the children of the society, of our soil. And many of you felt it that way. Because as much as it happened with a young family, it can happen to you. Do you want a country where persons are able to evade the law because they're connected? That breeds chaos in a society. That breeds chaos in a society. And that's not a society, I always say it. It doesn't matter how many persons come up and talk and try to debate me, I will maintain practices, and in an environment like that is not sustainable. It will decay a society. It will decay the fabric of the society. There's only one thing that will make a society thrive and be sustainable: rule of law. Where there's rule of law and there's respect. And that is what we want to do. Not going to be a government which will be vindictive. We're not going to be a government that will trump up charges against people. We're not going to be a government that will of course, trample on the rights and freedoms of persons. No. It will be respecting this law in this country that we got. Listen, you want a leader and leaders, and you will have that under an APNU government led by His Excellency the Aubrey Compton Norton, that really understands what it means to build a country and not to divide a country, to build it in which all people are able to come together and feel it's a sense of pride, to have a sense of pride that I can make a contribution in the development of my country. And that is what we offer you. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I wish you a very safe and enjoyable day tomorrow as you go out to vote like a boss. Vote for Guyana. Vote for a better country. Vote for a better government. Vote for a better leader in the name of Aubrey Compton Norton, in the name of Madam Finance, in the name of Danish Mai Paul. Vote for a government that will make this country bloom, that will make this country explode with creativity and beauty, and that will restore some form of safety in our society and patriotism. Vote for a country. I just visited Canada just a couple of days, and I was talking with some folks. And you know what they said? Oh, wow. I love when I get an opportunity to hear our national songs. It brings back that connection to something. And I'm telling you, the only government that will believe in our national pride and our national treasures is Aubrey Compton Norton. He's been saying it. Our culture has been eroded. There's no respect. And where people's culture is being eroded, there's no identity. Because what makes you stand out from the world? What makes a Guyanese stand out from the world? It's the richness of your culture, is what you have to offer to the people. Is the level of pride that you have of being Guyanese. We have lost that, and we need to bring that back. And so when you vote, you are voting to bring that back as well. So have a good day, everyone. Make sure, those of you who are listening who have members in the joint services, expand on this conversation that I have initiated. And let them see it's not a vote for themselves only, but it's a vote for a better country. I thank you, and I love you, Guyana. Bye for now.